I fell. I fell off of the rope.
Hey guys, it's Olivia
and Haley.
We are doing a story time, which is about
the time I almost died.
And I almost died, got all her.
On a climbing park thing.
Climbing park, look it up, it's climbing park. In Blue Ridge, Georgia, we went with our family. We thought it would be fun and exciting to do. But no, literally you had to go there and you had to hook it yourself on these thin little ropes.
And if a kid did that, they would die. Because if they didn't know how to hook it, they would die.
They only taught you one time, and they had these little floors that you have to stand on.
And there was like 5-year-olds doing it, and they were up in the sky. Like, if you didn't hook it the right way, you'd fall. You'd fall to your death.
Because the ropes are so thin, and like the hook has a big gap in it.
And especially the ones that went in the X, it took you forever. And I was crying, she was crying.
I was terrified because 3 girls were on this one thing because we were stuck. Me and this one girl stuck in the X. We needed Haley to come get us, but then she couldn't get us undone. So the people had come over here and yell at us.
They yelled, and we're like, because this little girl was 7 years old and she was crying, and they yelled at her because she couldn't do it. We're up in the sky, and she fell. She would have died.
Basically.
Yeah.
And these one things were so terrifying. Like, they would swing, and you had to go on it, and it would just swing, and it was...
And then they had a rope that was about this thin.
Like, literally this thin, and only one rope to hold it, and it was shaking.
Yeah, it was shaking, and if you leaned back, you would fall off of it.
Because there's no rope on the other side. And when we went on the zipline thing, it was really fun. We want to go ziplining now. But when we did it, like, I was scared to do it because it was, like, high up in the air, and there's, like, drop. And so I went down to it. He kept yelling at me, "You can
sit down! Sit down! Sit down!" She was sitting down.
Like you would sit in a freaking chair.
And then as you go off of that, those swinging
things,
the steps, they kept swinging. And Olivia was too scared to go. So he had to come help her. And then I got on it right after Olivia because it went the little boy, the little girl, Olivia, and me.
Yeah. Then the funniest part happened to her. Everybody was laughing at her, telling them.
Okay, so I got stuck on this with the swinging tree branch things, and I got stuck on there, and I did not want to go.
She just sat there.
I just sat there, and these kids were behind me. They're like, "Go!" I wasn't about to go because I'm scared. I'm terrified of heights. My worst fear is heights and spiders. I cannot do those. He put his legs around me and pulled me up onto the other obstacle. Every single person was laughing.
He was a scrawny little dude trying to help her.
Yeah.
Like what?
And he was yelling at me as he was trying to help me. I'm like, I can't help it. I'm terrified of heights.
Then he said something rude to her. I was at the time because I just kept going. I was crying. I didn't want to do it no more. But he said something really rude to her.
What was it?
Remember that he told Susan she went back in the room?
Oh, he said, you already, like, I already taught you how to hook yourself. Well, how about you hook yourself because you can't do it, then you don't need to do this. I'm sitting there like,
it's our first time.
It's
you
our
were
first
supposed
time.
to help us.
And if these kids hook themselves wrong, they're gonna fall. And so my aunt, I told my aunt, and she went in and yelled at him.
She went marching in.
He's probably fired by now. Me and Olivia dipped.
We ran so fast. You could have never seen me run so fast in my life.
I ran to the car whenever she went to yell at him. Like, I was so scared. Because my aunt, she can get me.
Yes.
I was like, oh Lord, they're going to start a fight with this 55-year-old woman and this probably 20-year-old guy. Go get in a fight over here. So I dipped. I ran to the car. But getting to the part where I almost died. So, the very last obstacle was a rope. It was hooked
by duct tape.
It had duct tape on it.
Yes.
Olivia was already off of it by now because she already went through, but me. Don't eat candy off of my floor. I was terrified. My legs were giving out. My legs were shaking. It was the last obstacle till I can get off there. I'm like almost there. I'm almost there. I fell. I fell off of the rope. I fell. The guy had to come back, grab my hand, and help me up. And then he was barely helping me at all. Like, I had to help myself up the rest of the way because I asked him, can you help me some more? He said, no, you're going to do it yourself. And I'm sitting there.
What? Like, why?
I'm sitting there, like, terrified. Like, I can't really talk because I'm first hanging onto a rope. I'm hanging onto a rope.
This little teeny little rope.
And I'm sitting there. It's
crying.
I'm sitting there crying.
Literally, like, in the air.
And it has duct tape holding it up. And I'm sitting there crying. And he's sitting there, like,
on his phone.
He's
texting
on his phone. He's like,
whatever he's doing. Then, when I get off of it, he's like, are you going to go to the next level? I'm like, heck to the no. I ain't going to do no more.
And we were pretty high up in the air. The next level was like,
I can't. Whoa.
It was so high up in the air. And we were already up. It's like, I'm absolutely terrified. It's like my worst fear of heights. Heights are my worst fear. And I fell on my very first time going to one of those places because I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me now. I'm into like facing my fears. I'm not going to touch a spider anytime soon. But like, we went there and I was like, I'm going to do this. It's going to be pretty fun. No. So Olivia gets out there. She's like, that's the worst day of my life. We were both crying.
It was much more worse than the T. Graham Brown concert that I had to go with my Aunt Susan to. Like, that was some boring stuff.
And, we were pale white when we got off of there because I haven't ate. We
haven't ate at all.
And it was hot outside and being scared, like that feeling.
I almost threw up. We both almost threw up. I started gagging
at my mom because she was down there and I kept looking down there at my
yelling
mom.
at her, get me down, get me down. She said, go up me, go.
And the guy, he said, I'm not going to get you down unless you want to be lowered with a rope that's this big. I'm like, I'd rather die by being pulled down by a rope than dying up in the sky because I was about to die. I was this close to throwing up on somebody's head that was down below. Because
your mom's.
My mom was going, go, Haley! I'm sitting there like this. Mom, I'm going to puke.
Me down.
And the guy's like, you're fine. I'm like, I'm dying.
You're good. Just keep going. Yeah, just keep going.
This 7-year-old girl was like this. Like, I could barely hold, like, I had to help her in this, because I didn't know the little girl, but I was going to help her anyway, since I kind of knew how to hook it, and she was screaming at her mom, get me down, because she couldn't do it, but I had to help her, and we're all standing on, like, this little tiny, like, it was about that big, we're all having to stand up in there.
And can I point out something? He had a flip phone, and he's, like, 27, like, 2017, sweetheart. Get an iPhone.
We're not talking about
I had to because he had a flip phone and it was bothering me.
But anyway, it bothered me so much that he didn't help. So, like, we're getting off here and I'm crying at this point. Like, I was about to puke. I finally got onto that rope and climbed off. I was literally about to die. At that moment, I really thought I was going to die. And, I got down, and my Aunt Susan, she's like, hey, so how was it? I'm like, well, he was very rude. So, at this point, we're kind of by the car, and she goes, I'm going back in there. I'm like, me and Olivia, dip. My Mimi, she can't, like, she's walking down this little, like, hill, and keeping in mind my mom has to hold her hand to walk down this hill, like,
I'm sorry that we keep repeating stuff, but it's so dramatic.
It's like, it was, like, that's probably the best thing that, like, happened to me, like, the most dramatic thing that's ever happened to me, but, like, so Susan goes back in there and she yells at him, and finally, like, 20 minutes later, she comes out.
Like,
he's probably gonna get fired. I'm like, but it was so funny though, because she went in there, that kind of like made my day. We went to Dairy Queen, and the girl that was working at Dairy Queen, she said, how did y'all just do? Because we were pale, white, and sick. I could barely eat my cheeseburger. She was like, what did y'all just do? I went, this was the worst day of our lives, and we did the climbing part thing. She was like, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, I should have.
And then Susan, this is off topic, very much off topic, but she goes to this lady at the cashier, and she got notes, but she's like, where did you get that from? These girls want some nose piercings too. She said, I did it myself. I did all my piercings by myself.
What? We're so off topic right
I
now.
know.
You just went way, like, you went from, okay, so we were climbing up in the air to, did you get your nose pierced yet? You'll probably be seeing that too. I'm gonna get my nose pierced. She's not allowed to yet.
Because of cheerleading. So basically, okay. That's basically it. It's kind of a short story, but she wanted to express our experience and how she almost died.
I was hanging off of a rope.
And actually, in the thumbnail, you can see.
That's our actual picture of the place, but like
Yes.
that's not all of it. This place was huge.
It's
And
like.
it's huge, and we weren't even on that level. That was where the picture was. We were up in the sky.
So now we are going to go to shopping to the mall. Bye bye.